When you read the last chapter of John's first letter, it can come across as a bit random to us. It hops about a bit. We're talking about the question of identity, and we're talking about obedience. Then we're talking about God's testimony about himself. Then we talk about sin and prayer, and about the Christian's relationship with the world and vice versa. And the danger is that we think about those things in a way that says they aren't really connected. John's simply writing a letter and thinking, as you do, well, while I'm putting pen to paper, is there anything else I need to add? But what if they are all connected? And it's Jesus who makes the connection. And the connection was made during the last piece of teaching that Jesus gave his disciples on the night on which he was betrayed. You read John's Gospel, chapter 14 to 16, and we find out that this is so. I am the way and the truth and the life. That's about the identity of Jesus, isn't it? If anyone loves me, he will obey my teaching. My Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our home with him. That's about our identity in him as well as about obedience. The words I say to you are not just my own. Rather, it is the Father living in me who is doing his work. That's about God's testimony about himself. I will ask the Father, and he will give you another counselor to be with you forever, the Spirit of truth. That's about God's continuing testimony about himself through the disciples by the Spirit. The world cannot accept him because it neither sees him nor knows him. The disciples and the world. And in the midst of it, Jesus speaks about prayer. And I will do whatever you ask in my name, so that the Son may bring glory to the Father. All those themes from the last chapter of John's letter that we saw are packed tightly together and interwoven in that one single chapter of John's Gospel, because I was just quoting from John chapter 14. Now you read John 15 and 16 and you find all the same themes there too. So it doesn't look, does it, as if these things can be kept separate. The questions of identity, of obedience, of God's testimony about himself by the Spirit, of prayer, and how we engage with the world and the world with us. Don't think they can be kept apart. So what? Can I suggest a practical application? You have a friend who is struggling in their faith. They doubt that they really are or ever have been a Christian because they sin. Because prayer for them is like bashing their head against a brick wall, and because they have it regularly pointed out to them by all and sundry that they are not the kind of Christian of whom even atheists say, if only they were all like that. You know the sort, you know. Oh, I know a lovely Christian lady, you know. Now, you almost certainly do have such a friend. They are on the point of giving up. How does what we are finding here help you to go about helping them? Well, what holds everything together and what connects all these things is the identity of Jesus. So start there. Am I a real Christian? People ask, but it usually undermines their faith because it leads them straight off into, what does a Christian look like? What does a Christian do? Now, good questions perhaps, but who is Jesus and so what are the real questions to be asking. They're the ones that strengthen faith. Why not see if you can get your friend answering them instead? Now they're struggling with sin. How can you motivate them to carry on struggling rather than give in? Most of the time people are struggling not to do stuff that they'd really quite like to, because they know that the resulting shame will make it impossible for them to believe any longer that they are a Christian. This is too negative to be good motivation. But disciples are in pursuit of obedience. That's positive. And they're doing that because Jesus is Lord, they know, and therefore they know his way is best. And they also know that they are now part of God's testimony to the world about himself. They struggle, this person, with how the world thinks of them. Point out to them that the world isn't in a position to judge. They want to give up praying because it doesn't work. Again, go back to the identity of Jesus. Without faith, there is no real prayer. Genuine prayer comes from obedient disciples. Otherwise, it's an exercise in self-contradiction. You know, your kingdom come, but not in me, obviously. And from them, obedient disciples, I mean, it's not about the words, it's about the relationship. Just as with people we love, we think before making a request, well, what would this do to the relationship? Am I asking them to contradict themselves? Am I asking them to work against what they really, really want to do? You don't ask, do you? You think first. You get the idea. What Jesus holds together, let us hold together, and then it holds us together. I'll say that again. What Jesus holds together, let us hold together. And then it holds us together. Enough. See you after Christmas.